Hello, YouTube. This is the Galley La Podcast, and this week One Piece is resumed, and we are going to be reviewing Chapter 1096 Kumachi. And please like and subscribe if you have not. I'm Akainu Fanboy. The other guy is Geboss, and we started off with a cover story of Zoro upset over losing a game of musical chairs to a pack of chihuahuas in a forest.
Well, obviously, this is foreshadowing that Garp is going to take Zoro's sword, because we can clearly see that the one has the scar over his eye like Garp does.
Yeah, and I also think it's indicative of like the new Yonko formation coming in and how Zoro's stressing out because he isn't keeping up to Luffy and becoming a Yonko as well, because Zoro is to equal and or greater than Luffy's power, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, moving on to the story. So
This is a packed
basic. Yes. So we get to all the innocent civilians freaking out, running away, where we basically have the Hunter Games or Goldie Pond, Promised Neverland type of vibes going on here. And we see kind of the varying families too that we have going on here. Do you have any thoughts on kind of like the celestial families that they mentioned in the beginning?
Not really, because I mean, one thing is that the ones that are shown more prominently that aren't like the typical celestial dragons, they don't have their bubble helmets. So I don't know why they wouldn't have that. I guess they're different in some way, I guess, in their views of things.
Yeah. One thing I did notice that the one panel where it says "Don't count on an easy victory, Garland," and it has the 46 mask. That reminds me of one of the kids in the Whole Cake Island Big Mom flashback, where one of the orphans had a similar face mask, along with Big Mom.
Oh, really? I don't even remember that. It's been a while since I've read that flashback.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remembering that correctly that there was one, but yes, I believe so. But maybe we could follow up on that later. But that kind of pointed out to me, at least, you know. So, anyway, so after that, yeah, we just see them begging, and it's really terrible because like they're even shooting at their kids and everything, and it just shows how horrific and evil they are. And then. We kind of get like a breather from the seriousness, and then we go to we see Fleet Admiral Kong, and we rarely see him in the series. So
I know,
this is very rare.
I literally think this is only his second appearance, and it's in a flashback. We saw him talk to Sengoku after the war, and I think that's it.
Yeah, and then we hear his voice in the One Piece episode 0.
Okay.
Yeah. So and that's it, really. That's it. Yeah. And so Garp was saying, "What did they expect? You just swipe the crown jewel of Island." So from what we can tell, this is like the thing that instigates everything right here is the crown jewel. From what we can tell, at least just from what Garp's saying, and we're not really given much any of a heads up of like what that is by the end of the chapter, maybe, with the exception of maybe the 2 fruits, you know?
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought reading farther along, I thought it had something to do with Captain John's treasure. Like he's laughing like my precious treasure. So I don't know if it's has anything to do with him, or I don't know, because that's what Buggy was looking for. Was Captain John's treasure, and Luffy's armband from. I forget what. I think he might have gotten it from Thriller Bark because Captain John was a zombie there. But yeah, this whole treasure thing is interesting, which shows that. Once again, I had originally thought that like the Rocks pirates kind of came to God Valley to attack the Celestial Dragons, but it seems like the Celestial Dragons were the instigators of everything, taking what's what's not
There's
theirs.
also another theory that Brox and his crew were there to save the slaves and free the celestial dragons, and that Brox was basically painted as a bad guy when he's really a good guy kind of thing. That was one theory, speculation that was down.
Yeah, but I mean, we see why the pirates ultimately converge on the island was because of Ginny later on in the chapter.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting back to Garp, it's interesting that he doesn't even really care that what's happening with the celestial dragons, like with rocks coming and everything, until he learns that Roger is going to be there.
Yep.
I thought that was kind of funny.
That was good. And so you would say, just kind of going back real quick, like that does do you think this chapter does undercut the idea that Rox was actually a good guy that was like slandered by the government, basically? Like in terms of like he was there to free the slaves, because the ones who are freeing the slaves here are Akuma and Ivankov, basically, you know?
I don't know. I don't think that Rox is going to be painted out to be a good person. But I don't know if he's... I mean, the reputation of his crew is that it's like home to all these world famous pirates, and that they were bloodthirsty and everything. So yeah. I don't know. I tend to think that portrayal of him is going to be accurate. But
the jewel was the thing. Sorry, go.
I was going to say, but for this instance, he wasn't the instigator. He was just getting back whatever they took from Pirate Island.
Yeah, so it was the jewel and not the slaves why they showed up, basically.
Yeah, that's right? What I think.
Yeah. And and then also the Blackbeard Rox parallel too, I think, is a strong parallel that speaks a lot to his character. But yeah, just kind of moving on to that. So it was kind of interesting to see that basically, yeah, this is gonna like shake up the pirate world and everything. And but we have like a quick transition to Ivankov saying how shows there for the murder festival here, and that how there's been 10,000 civilians that have been branded rabbits for this hunt. Not a single one will still be alive in 3 weeks time. And so it just really emphasized like the brutality and the genocidal nature of the celestial dragons, and how they want to give them like a false sense of hope.
Yeah.
Basically, for them to survive and everything, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we already didn't like the celestial dragons before, but like I think this is even putting them in even more of a worse light.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't know if around this time if the Revolutionary Army was around that time. I don't know if they ever mentioned the history of when it was formed, but here you can see like the how it would gain like its footing with people like Ivankov and Kuma and everything who were slaves.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do we know if they have the tattoo on them, the brand? Because it doesn't seem like it. We've seen a lot of skin from Ivankov, but we haven't seen the tattoo at all. Same with Kuma.
Yeah, because I think they're serving a different purpose of being like rabbits to be hunted down rather than slaves, like for long living kind of thing, you know.
But I mean,
like I think there's the expectation they're gonna die.
Yeah, but Kuma was a straight up slave. Like he was captured with his parents.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, and then we see like a big oversight. I wonder if it's if these are just regular chains and not like sea prism stone, because the one shark fishman that's with Ivankov just bites off their restraints.
Yeah, well, they don't have devil fruits yet, right? So
Yeah, but I
I think
that
Sea Prism's.
yeah, but I think that Sea Prism Stone is like harder than that. So I would think that they would put them on their slaves to stop them uh, from escaping or anything.
That's true, but I think it's like also overkill because they expect them all to be dead anyways. You know, like the only way they really got out was through the devil fruit at the end of the day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't think that was in their plans either. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, when we get to the two devil fruits, it's interesting how Oda chose that these were the two fruits that were gonna be on this island. Out of all the fruits, it was just these two, Kaido's and Kumas.
Yeah, well, we knew about Kaido's.
Yes.
That Linlin gave it to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess this is just the best point in the story to say like, oh, here's where Kuma got his fruit.
Yeah. Which I think a lot of people did not see coming.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I guessed that this is where he would get it, but I didn't write it off. But yeah, and then we get to Ginny being a little shit and and just saying, "Oh yeah, I've broadcasted like where these devil fruits would be and what's happening on God Valley to like all the pirates."
And how is she able to do that? Maybe I need to reread it again, but she does it not say.
She's a pro thief and a wiretapper.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all the explanation we get. But
oh man.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that it's lazy writing, or what do you think? Because this is
that's the only part where I'm like,
yeah, it's like the main impetus of the whole incident is this information getting out there, and to have it done in such a way.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know about that. That's a little bit of a yikes for me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe once we get the full story of God Valley, because we just get the beginnings of it in this chapter. Because I mean, ultimately, this is Kuma's flashback, not the God Valley flashback.
Yeah, no, it's true, and we definitely progressed. We definitely got a lot more new information about the incident and everything, you know. And seeing Rox's ship pull up, I thought was like pretty scary, terrifying kind of thing, like the look of it and all that. And we basically get to see the banter with the Rocks, kind of like you see the friction already with the crew, like immediately, how it's just more a group of competitors rather than a team, really. Or Whitebeard saying, you know, telling Rocks not to rush ahead, and to not give me orders and everything. And you just kind of see like the friction pointing out like very quickly with everybody, you know. And then we get to see Stussy as well, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, the biggest surprise for me was Gloriosa being part of it too, who was the queen before Shaki, because there was a lot of theories online that it was Shaki that was going to be a part of the Rocks Pirates, because she had said like, "Oh, I was a pirate all these years ago." But yeah, I was not expecting Gloriosa to be on there, and then we see like Whitebeard. I think this is the first. Is this the first appearance of Shiki in like the main story? Besides episode 0, because that was like I think that was only like released in Japan movie theaters.
I'm not sure if this was in the filler or canon, but I do remember Sengoku making a reference to him in the context of Impel Down. It was around there. But I that's about it. Yeah, I don't think he's ever been seen in the story.
Yeah, young Shiki. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of surreal to see all the people there, like Captain John and Silver X and Wang Shi. Although
Mm.
when you look at the one guy under Gloriosa there on the page, he looks like in Thriller Bark, Moria resurrected Captain John's body, and this guy looks like one of the guys that Frankie fought. That was with Captain John there. So I don't know if he's this character or not. I would like to think so, because like, how else would, if he had Captain John, he would probably have access to this other guy too.
And what? So who do you think the Dark Silhouette character is in the bottom left corner right there?
I mean,
It looks like he has sunglasses and the grin right there.
yeah, I mean, Process of Elimination is probably Wang Xi. This other guy is going to be Silver Axe. Yeah, I just want to make sure I have the names right. But yeah, that's what I think it is. Because we already know about Captain John and Stussy and everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we get the Rogers Pirates coming in, who look like they're going to clash with the Gods Knights, who look like the one guy in the back. Does he even like have a head? Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's like a shadow, type of shadow entity for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy looks like, he reminds me of like the devils from Black Clover, if you've ever seen them. Just kind of his lanky silhouette like that. But yeah, it's cool to see Roger with his straw hat and everything too.
Yeah.
And Scopper and Rayleigh, and I think we've seen a couple of these other background guys in the Odin flashback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, so the God Knights seem like someone that are formidable in themselves as well, too. So, and then obviously Garp and his boys show up as well, too. So,
Beauregard's gonna kick some ass, or Bogard.
Let's go.
Or he has his own like special place in the corner.
Let's go.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll have more impact here than he did in the live action version, because I think he got more play there.
Or just the main story and not helping out Garp from getting killed or captured and all that stuff. So,
no, it's fine.
There's that too.
It's fine.
It's fine, yeah. But it was kind of like sudden, this like towards the end, it just kind of felt like super quick. Because you just have Big Mom just taking down Ivankov out of nowhere, you know?
Well, yeah.
They're just like, oh.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, this part felt kind of rushed, because we don't even see, like, how they got access to this fruit or anything. I guess they got to it in all the confusion. But I would think that these would be under, like, really heavy security.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was...
Yeah, they just kind of get there.
Yeah, that's the only part that I'm really kind of like, don't know.
Yeah, kind of like all the crews pop up at once, and you're just like, what's going on, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably it's just like a big battle royale with it looks like they have like the Marines and the Gods Knights on one side and Rox and Roger on the other. But yeah, and then we see just imagine if Ivankov got the Kaido's fruit. Imagine how fabulous that dragon would be.
It'd be a lot more helpful in Marine Fruit, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Eva put in work there.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And then, like, just kind of another critique, I guess, is, like, Saturn just kind of popping up out of nowhere, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
okay, he's here, too.
Yeah, he could have had them, like, guarding them or whatever, like, I don't know. I feel like this is ripe for like extensions of the anime. Like him getting like Saturn getting called off to do other things, and that's how they get access to the fruits. But yeah.
Yeah, and we don't see how Kuma escapes ultimately. We just hear like Rox and Roger like kind of yelling at each other, and we don't really see if like we don't really see Garp or Roger team up either in this chapter, you know?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, we don't even see them team up, which is like a big part of the whole incident.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I don't know, it is kind of sudden the way that it ends. Like there's, like even if, like we got the explanation that Kuma teleported people, because, I mean, we cut to the South Blue where they're like, oh, you saved 500 people from that. It's like, well, it would be nice to see.
Yeah.
But I think that we're going to get the whole God Valley incident in full later, or like the important parts that need to be discussed with I think Luffy and his crew need to learn about it, and I think that's where we're going to learn about it, because right now we're just kind of in flashback mode with Bonnie right now, and these are only pertaining to Kuma's experiences through that, so he might not have even known about what happened with Roger and Rox and everything.
Yeah, and then there's also the very high probability that Oda's going to cover the rest of the flashback in Kaido's flashback. Oh wait. But
yeah.
Continuing on the chapter. It was interesting how they said, so they only ended up reporting Garp's heroism, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This Morgan's nothing but a hack. So I guess maybe, yeah, so they didn't talk about Kuma's heroism, obviously. But one like little theory I had for this was basically that maybe a lot of those slaves survived because Garp saved the lives of the celestial dragons, and then he said like, if you do not execute these slaves, basically, and then like I'm gonna save your life. You know, that's the trade basically. You know, these people get to live because I saved your lives here. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, we also see like Eva directly stating like, oh, Kuma himself saved 500 people. So I want to know more about that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that Eva did acknowledge that Garp did do something heroic, you know.
Oh yeah. He also said,
I think like that's part of...
He also said, in the end, we still have no idea what the heck really happened on that island. It's like, okay, Oda, we get it. You're not giving us the full story.
Yeah. That's just kind of one little theory I'd put out there, because the government acknowledged, like, yeah, the slaves were freed and everything, even though they were supposed to be killed initially, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of found that, obviously, they were going to be killed, so maybe the deal, I think, potentially was Garp saved the life of the celestial dragon, so he's like, okay, now you let these people live, because I just saved your life, basically, you know? I think that might be, like, one theory there. And it was kind of interesting just because we kind of talked about Kuma in the Bible and his religious beliefs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting how Oda's still kind of like holding on to that in his flashback. The Bible just wasn't there for show in a way, but he does seem to be like a pious person, basically.
Yeah, I think it might be like he might be praying to Nika or something like that, because I think that's the only like deific figure that he knows. And like Eva says, like he has, with his new powers, he has the hands of liberation.
Yeah, so it's interesting how Oda's still like holding on to that part of him, even though like that was like very, very, very long ago. When we first saw him with Doflamingo and the Warlord of the Sea meeting, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also like to emphasize goodness, because that fits your personality to live in a church and everything, you know? So I think him being portrayed as this terrible monster, and again, it just shows like the continual tragedy that is his life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it does too. Um, but yeah, we see like Ginny deciding to stay with Kuma, and I think it's basically confirmed that that she's Bonnie's mother at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that Kuma, when Ivankov is leaving the island, he's like, "I'll never forget your face as long as I live." And I remember, like, when they met at Marineford, like, Eva's saying, like, how could you forget my face or whatever?
Yeah.
And I think at that point it was kind of like, oh, it's funny because Eva has such a strange face. Like, how could anyone forget it? But like, this gives it a whole new context.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like how Oda did that.
Yeah. And the other thing, like, we see like Kuma doing his ability to remove the pain from people in this chapter as well, which I think also plays into his character, like the whole like pious thing, because he's like more a like a gentle person. Like I want to see how he got, like, it might be the next chapter if they show like how he got labeled as like a tyrant, because it doesn't seem to fit with him at all.
Yeah, because he's even healing the people that are hurting him, you know?
Yeah, and it makes like the whole like thing where he pushed the pain out of Luffy, like it's like some weird like when you first see it, it's like some weird ability that he does to like torture Zoro. But in reality it's meant for like good things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I thought that was cool. And yeah, and the whole end part with like them crying, like that they've Ginny and Kuma were saying that they've been slaves since they were 4, and like for the first time in their life that they've been full after eating. And I think that's kind of beautiful in its own way. Because I mean, you think about how much people like living in the US or whatever, like we take this for granted, like access to stuff like this. Because I think even in like modern day and other places, this is still happening.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And that's why I love Sandri so much too. Just appreciation for food and all that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah, definitely. But the what was it? But yeah, I think we're gonna see more of the flashback next chapter. Hopefully more about the whole tyrant stuff. What about you? What are your predictions?
Yeah, same. I think it's going to be it. And we're probably going to see how Kuma gets branded into a tyrant, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
And maybe meeting Dragon shortly thereafter.
Yeah. I was a little upset that we didn't get the whole rocks thing, but I think we got enough to whet our appetites for more. But
for sure. And no break.
Yeah, true. But yeah, those are...
Sure.
That's what I think of the chapter.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, thank you everyone for listening. Please like and subscribe if you have not, and we will see y'all soon. Peace.
See ya.